everyone. This is Brett Matzer, and you guys are here at Real Estate Objection Handling. And today's objection that I'm going to go over is the market is hot. We want to list higher, so we have room to negotiate. Now, that is a very common objection when it comes to sellers, especially in a seller's market like we have now and like we have throughout the country. So we're going to break that down using conversational selling. So if you're new to this channel, if you're new to this training, I do these every morning live. You can catch it in my private Facebook group, Real Estate or Real Skills 360, or you can catch this on my YouTube channel. Now, regardless of where you're at, where you're catching this, please like, subscribe to this channel. Help out the algorithm so we can actually reach more people who are looking to enhance their skills for objection handling. So this is in tune with the objection of the day. So I have a role-playing group. You should be working and doing role-playing training with a partner. If you don't have a partner, you can go over to realestateroleplaying.com and you can see what we do to align people with partners. So without further ado, let's dive into things. Okay, guys. So the market is hot. We want to list higher, so we have room to negotiate. Now, we're going to break this down using what I call the ultimate rebuttal formula. That's where you show active listening skills by acknowledging, you make the prospect right by approving what they said, you throw in a softener, and then you ask a question. So I'm going to break that down using this on this objection. The market is hot. We want to list higher so that we have room to negotiate. So first thing I want to say is most objections, what people perceive of objections are just statements. They're not really objections. You see, you really don't have an objection until you know the why or the belief behind the statement. So when we talk about this objection right here, the market is hot, we want to list higher so we have room to negotiate, that's a statement. That's not really the meaning behind this. So we want to kind of dive into that. Now, we all have some preconceived notions on why someone in a seller's market or in any market, they want to list high because their perception is because now they can negotiate. So I'm going to be using some NLP techniques here. One of the which is this time is just like that time. So it's really kind of taking them on a subconscious or a down memory lane to identify a situation that they're more familiar with and why it's a mistake, why they should do it now. But ultimately, if this is the first objection that you're getting, you should be actually, when you're in a conversation with a seller, you should already have known their motivation to sell, because knowing their motivation to sell is going to be directly related to what they're going to list the home for. So let's go into this. So first of all, we're going to acknowledge by repeating in the form of a question. We're going to acknowledge what they said by repeating the form of the question. Now, your tonality matters on this. Your tempo matters on this. Your strategic pauses matters on this. And actually, your facial expressions, your body expression, all of it matters. Whether you're on the phone, especially in person, everything matters is the way you say it. It's not just the words. So you can say, oh, okay. So you want to list higher so you can negotiate lower. Am I understanding that right? Now, if you just pause right there, most people will actually give you a little bit more information, right? Especially when that pause gets a little bit uncomfortable. Has there ever been a time when you guys have been in a conversation, neither one of you guys are talking, and you're wondering to yourself, my turn to talk? I think it might be my turn to talk. They just said something. I think they think that I need to talk. And then you talk. Okay. That's what a strategic pause is for. And sometimes it gets uncomfortable. You have to be in control. So you're the one who has to implement those strategic pauses throughout your conversations. So in this case, okay, so let me get this straight. You want to list higher so you can accept lower. Am I understanding that correctly? And they can say, well, yeah, it's a hot market. We want to make sure that we maximize our payment. And we think that if we list higher, now they're thinking like what you do on Craigslist. But if we list higher, then, we have room to negotiate and we'll end up at our price. Now you're going to Approve. Okay. Well, I've sold a lot of homes in this market for the last 23 years. And I find that most homeowners, they want three things. Okay. So here's what I did. I grouped them into most homeowners. Now, this is what I'm doing. I'm calling this a level shift. Okay. This is their objection was that they want to list high so they can negotiate down and still get the price that they want. So this is where I'm amplifying and sharing my experience. So look, Mr. Seller, I've sold a lot of homes in this area for the last 23 years. Now, if you don't have that experience, you could say something along the lines. So look, Mr. Seller, me and my company have literally sold hundreds, if not thousands of homes in this specific market. Okay. So you need to tie into your alignment, right? Your business alignment, the company that you're with. And I find that homeowners want three things. Okay. Now here comes the thing. If you caught on to my training, if you've watched me before, deliver training, you guys have heard this before. I find that sellers want three things, three common denominators with sellers. They want to sell their home for the most money in the least amount of time, or in the quickest time with the least amount of hassle. Is that true for you as well? No one's going to say no. And if you watch my trainings before, no one says no unless they're for sale by owner. So, is that true for you as well? That's a yes or no question. Okay. You've made it to whereas you're not finished talking, but you have to engage the other person because that's what happens in conversation. You take turns talking, right? So, I've sold a lot of homes in this market over the last 23 years. And I find that most homeowners, they really have three common criteria. They want to sell their home for the most money in the quickest amount of time with the least amount of hassle. Is that true for you as well? Well, yeah, that's exactly what we want to do. Okay. Now remember, the objection started off as we want to sell the home. We want to list high so we can negotiate lower. Well, so they have room to negotiate. Now what we've done is we've modified it because now they've agreed that they want those three things. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do a softener and ask. So you know what? Terrific. Great. So if you don't mind me asking, that's the softener. Your goal is to not just list the home. Your goal is to sell the home, right? Okay. I paraphrased in a very, very simple manner, and it's very kind of direct. The reason why you put a softener in there, because if I said, so great. So your goal is just to sell the home. Your goal is to not just list the home, it's to sell the home, right? If I said that, depending on the personality on the assigned, that might not be received very well. So I put the softener in. So great. So look, if you don't mind me asking, your goal isn't to just list this home. Your goal is to sell the home. Now remember, you should already know the motivation for them selling. Okay. If they just want to sell for the sake of selling to see what kind of price they can get, and if they don't get the price that they want, they said that they're going to die in the home, probably not a listing that you want to take. Now, if in fact they want to sell the home because they have to move out of Dodge and get to their new job in 45 days, totally different scenario. And you want to use that motivation. Once you find that motivation, we call that a hot button, you're going to want to start poking at it. So if you don't mind me asking, your goal is not to just list the home. Your goal is to sell the home, right? And then you're going to go into, we want to sell the home. Okay. This is where you come into the NLP technique. Has there ever been a time? So look, Mr. Seller, has there ever been a time when you were looking to buy something, and once you found out what the price was, it was so much higher than what everything else, the going price was, that you didn't even bother looking at it? Has that ever happened to you? Now, I don't know about you guys, but for those of you that are watching this video, there's probably a time that you can remember right now, or you can remember the feeling that you're looking for something, a car, a shoes, a pair of pants, a restaurant, and you're looking for things, and price is always an issue when it comes to value. People always say, what's more important to you, price or value? Value is a mathematical equation. It's what you get for what you pay equals value. So you can't really compare value to just price because there's another component, there's another variable to it. But has there ever been a time where you were looking to do something? Let's say you were buying a car. Let's say you were looking at a new a 2-3-year-old BMW, and you're going after, say, a new 7 Series, and you're looking through it, and one 7 Series is priced $10,000 more than everything else. Has that ever happened to you? Well, yeah. Did you even consider looking at that other car? No, because the price was so much higher that it just eliminated it. So it comes down to price is an extremely important component to selling a property. If you list, I'm off script. If you guys list a property at fair market value in a lot of different markets across the US, specifically in the Southern California market where I'm at, there's only 1.5 supplies home on there's only 1.5 months of supplies of homes on the market right now. Meaning if no new home comes onto the market, we've depleted our supply in 1.5 months. Things are selling like the new iPhone. So, but what we find is that for those sellers who list up here, they're not getting multiple offers. They're not even getting that many showings. So a better strategy is to list at where the prices are selling, get more people looking into it, and then stimulate those. Probably if you're modestly priced, if you're priced at fair market value, you'll likely get multiple offers on it, but only if people are actually seeing it, right? They're not even looking at things that are listed. If people have a loan amount, the median sales price right now in my market's 800,000, like 790,000. So for people who are approved or their budget is 790,000, they're not looking at 820. Even if they think that, and they're not thinking that sellers are listing their homes at 820, knowing that they'll come down to 780 or 790. They're not doing that, but they might go and look at a property in the 790, 800 range and have an extra, 10, 20, 15, 30 grand that they can bid up. So it comes down to the mentality, and the consumer doesn't know this. It's your job as a real estate sales professional. This is where your experience and this is where your market knowledge comes in. It's your job to convey that, not by telling them, by asking them questions that leads them down to their own conclusion. Okay. Nothing that you say is going to change somebody's belief. Only they can change their belief. And the only way that they can change their belief is by coming to an aha moment by answering some questions that you're asking. Okay. So has there ever been a time when you were looking to buy something and once you found out the asking price, you didn't even bother looking? If you're a consumer in 2021 right now, chances are you have been in a situation like this. And then now you're going to tie this into another NLP section. Well, look, this situation is just like that situation, right? This situation is just like that situation. Would you mind if I tell you why? You don't just go into it and just tell them why. You ask them permission, because that's what we do in conversations. It goes both ways. This situation is just like that situation. Would you mind if I tell you why? Okay. And then you go into what I just talked to you guys about, look, this is what's going on with the market. This is where we're at. This is, if you list high, people are looking at homes that are within their price range. They're not looking at homes thinking that you're going to come down. Not in this market, right? Buyers have been conditioned to know that you're not getting a deal. A deal is getting the house, the offer accepted. A deal is not paying $15,000 over price. It's paying $14,500. Not in all cases, but you guys get my point. So let's run this down from the top. The objection is the market is hot, so we want to list higher so we have room to negotiate. You're going to, okay, so let me understand this correctly. You want to list higher so you can negotiate lower. Am I understanding that right? Well, yeah, we figure if we list high, it gives us some time to room to negotiate and we can get what we want. Okay, well, that makes sense. So look, I've been in this business a long time. Me and my company have literally sold hundreds of homes within a 3-mile radius of your property. I know it really well. And here's what I come to find in my 2 decades of experience. There are 3 common denominators. 1, all homeowners want to sell their home for the most money in the quickest amount of time with the least amount of hassle. Is that true for you as well? Well, yeah, Brad, it is true for me as well. Duh. Okay, great. So if you don't mind me asking, your goal is not just to list the property. Your goal is to sell the property, right? Well, right. Now you can go to their motivation. I mean, you said that you have a job transfer that you have to be in 60 days, right? Well, yeah. Okay. So we don't have time to waste. I mean, it takes 30 to 45 days once you find a buyer to close it. So really, we only have about 3 weeks of marketing time. Does that make sense? Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So has there ever been a time when you were looking to buy something and once you found out the asking price that you didn't even bother looking at it? Has that ever happened to you? Yeah, that's happened to me. Okay. Well, this situation or this time is just like that time. Because right now, buyers who are looking for your home right now is worth about 800,000 based on the comps. And right now, your home is worth more than it ever has in the history of forever. So if you sell it, even if you sell it at market price, you've sold it for more money than it's ever been worth ever. Okay. Now, if you list it overpriced, we're going to reduce the number of people looking at it because you agreed that just like you, now you're tying it into them, buyers, consumers are just like you, is that if something they perceive as just simply overpriced or out of budget, they're not going to look at it. So do you want to list it at would you want to list the home at a price that will cause it to get attention at fair market value and then allow me to use my 23 years of expertise after selling hundreds, if not thousands of homes to get you the most money in the quickest amount of time with this much hassle? Or do you want to put it on the market, overprice it so that you can sell it for the least amount of money in the longest amount of time with this much hassle? Which would be better for you? Okay, so guys, that's just one way that you can handle this. Again, if you guys have caught this training before, this isn't about the words. I could do this training like next week, the same training. I will have the same structure with it. It'll be somewhat the same, but it could be a lot different. And it's going to be a lot different on whether or not, you're going to talk to, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, and the way that you would respond to their objection might be a little bit different than Mr. and Mrs. Smith. So it's the strategy, it's the concept behind it that is going to get you to do things. It's not just the words. So I hope this helped you guys out. So if you're in the role-playing group, this is the objection of the day. Be sure to practice this out with your partner. If in fact you're not in the role-playing group, but you have role-playing partners, the more you practice, the better you get. So, but if you need a partner and you need a reliable partner, go check out our group, realestateroleplaying.com. And would love to, if you're serious about role playing, if you're serious about real estate, if you're serious about skills, then we would love to have you. So guys, that is all I have for today. I sincerely appreciate all of you guys that have